Hear that? Cleanup continues. Today, the weather's pretty unpredictable. I'm not really kind of sure what it's going to do, but what we do need to do is have a look at a mower. I've got two mowers, well, more than two, but two push mowers, and one of them's difficult to start when it's warm, so it starts easily enough when it's cold, but when it's warm, difficult to restart. So I think there's an air leak somewhere. Anyway, I picked up a kit for it the other day, so let's take a look at that. So the issue is probably that it's sucking air, and this here is the primer. So I've got a new primer bulb. I'm not certain it's the primer bulb that's the problem, but I may as well replace it seeing as we've got it down. I think the problem is in fact in this gasket here, in this carb kit, and it's broken, and you can see that when we pull it apart. New plug and new air filter, and all of that's in behind here. Let's start to pull it down. Be very surprised if we need much more than a couple of screwdrivers and a socket. Always grab yourself something too to drop the nuts and bolts and screws and things into. So this now is really only held on by a hose which goes up on that pipe, so that just pulls right off. This is the mechanism for the primer. Just put it to one side. So this is the carburettor right here, and this is what we want to take off. There's fuel in the tank, so let's empty that. So this is where that air leak is. I think that's a busted gasket which has come off the bottom of that air intake, and there's the rest of it, and you can see that that's just busted. It looks like it's been stuck on with something or other. It's not doing much good, so we'll clean all of that up. Getting this off requires a 10mm socket, which is the one that you're always losing, so make sure you've got a good stock of them. And there it is. That's the culprit there. We can strip that down and clean up in here. You can see that O-ring that goes right there. We'll have a new one of those and clean up the faceplate and reassemble it all. So we're going to clean this up. Now this is the old gasket. First of all, let's get rid of that. And then we'll clean all of this up in a minute, but we also need to get out that primer bulb which is there. We don't need to be gentle because we're replacing it. Just levers out, and then the new one levers in, but we'll give it all a good clean up. So you need to press this right into there so that seals, and then the new one goes straight in like so. And locks back in. Clean up this face here. This is the float bowl, and we'll pull this apart and you can see how this works. So the fuel that runs in through here, it sits in this bowl, and so it doesn't overflow, there's a float. And the float is this thing here. And what stops it, and this is what stops the flow. So there's a tiny grommet, I don't know whether you can see it, but it's actually the seal. It's right inside here. I've just replaced that. Then this new valve goes in on top. The float goes back on. That sits in there. Pin goes back in. O-ring goes back on. Doesn't need to be super tight. Put the new O-ring on there. This can go back on again, remembering though to hook up this throttle control. Like so. this is the gasket that goes on here, and that has to locate on those two pins, there and there, and then that seals that channel, which is where it sucks fuel to prime the carb. And then this goes back on, complete with the new primer, not forgetting to hook up both the fuel and this before we do it. This is the new filter. We'll change the plug. Well, job complete, but it's always a bonus if you finish the job and you don't have anything left over, but I actually do. I wonder if some of these are for other carburetors and they just give you a one-size-fits-all pack. You just use the bits that you need, but these are some of the bits that we've replaced. Anyway, the bonus will be if it actually works. First of all, prime it. Actually, before we do, I can see a lot of fuel leaking. Back to the workshop. So the leaking, I don't know if you can see it dripping there, is right there. So it's coming from that bowl. This is where we take it off again. Take two. This is a bit of a trap. Probably, well, when I put that float bowl on, I think I said no need to really tighten it, but there actually is. So it really crushes that O-ring. And if we check now, it's very dry under there, so let's give it a test run. Look at that. Let's try and restart it. I reckon we can call that a success, so must be time for lunch. Thanks for watching.